and welcome to Read the Whole Bible with Trenda Jones. I'm Trenda and this is day 19. Let's read and may the Lord add a blessing to the reading of His Word. We'll begin in Genesis chapter 27 with verse 1, the stolen blessing. When Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could not see, he called his older son Esau and said to him, "My son," and he answered, "Here I am." He said, "Look, I am old and do not know the day of my death. So now take your hunting gear, your quiver and bow, and go out into the field to hunt some game for me. Then make me a delicious meal that I love and bring it to me to eat, so that I can bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening to what Isaac said to his son Esau. So while Esau went to the field to hunt some game to bring in, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Listen, I heard your father talking with your brother Esau. He said, 'Bring me game and make a delicious meal for me to eat, so that I can bless you in the Lord's presence before I die.' Now, my son, listen to me and do what I tell you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, and I will make them into a delicious meal for your father, the kind he loves. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies." Jacob answered Rebekah his mother, "Look, my brother Esau is a hairy man, but I am a man with smooth skin. Suppose my father touches me, then I will be revealed to him as a deceiver and bring a curse rather than a blessing on myself." His mother said to him, "Your curse be upon me, my son. Just obey me and go get them for me." So he went and got the goats and brought them to his mother, and his mother made the delicious food his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of her older son Esau, which were in the house, and had her younger son Jacob wear them. She put the skins of the young goats on his hands and the smooth part of his neck. Then she handed the delicious food and the bread she had made to her son Jacob. When he came to his father, he said, "My father," and he answered, "Here am I." "Who are you, my son?" Jacob replied to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may bless me." But Isaac said to his son, "How did you ever find it so quickly, my son?" He replied, "Because the Lord your God made it happen for me." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come closer so I can touch you, my son. Are you really my son Esau or not?" So Jacob came closer to his father Isaac. When he touched him, he said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau, so he blessed him. Again he asked, "Are you really my son Esau?" And he replied, "I am." Then he said, "Bring it closer to me and let me eat some of my son's game, so that I can bless you." Jacob brought it closer to him and he ate. He brought him wine and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Please come closer and kiss me, my son." So he came closer and kissed him. Then Isaac smelled his clothes. He blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give to you from the dew of the sky and from the richness of the land an abundance of grain and new wine. May people serve you and nations bow in homage to you. Be master over your relatives. May your mother's sons bow in homage to you. Those who curse you will be cursed, and those who bless you will be blessed." As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had left the presence of his father Isaac, his brother Esau arrived from his hunting. He had also made some delicious food and brought it to his father. He said to his father, "Let my father get up and eat some of his son's game, so that you may bless me." But his father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" He answered, I am Esau, your firstborn. Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably. Who was it then, he said, who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it all before you came in, and I blessed him. Indeed, he will be blessed. When Esau heard his father's words, he cried out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, Bless me too, my father. But he replied, Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. So he said, Isn't he rightly named Jacob? For he has cheated me twice now. He took my birthright, and look, now he has taken my blessing. Then he asked, Haven't you saved a blessing for me? But Isaac answered Esau, Look, I have made him a master over you, have given him all of his relatives as his servants, and have sustained him with grain and new wine. What then can I do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. And Esau wept loudly. His father Isaac answered him, Look, your dwelling place will be away from the richness of the land, away from the dew of the sky above. You will live by your sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you rebel, you will break his yoke from your neck. Esau's anger. Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. And Esau determined in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are approaching. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. When the words of her older son Esau were reported to Rebekah, she summoned her younger son Jacob and said to him, Listen, your brother Esau is consoling himself by planning to kill you. So now, my son, listen to me. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran and stay with him for a few days until your brother's anger subsides, until your brother's rage turns away from you and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send for you and bring you back from there. Why should I lose you both in one day? So Rebekah said to Isaac, I'm sick of my life because of these Hittite girls. If Jacob marries someone from around here, like these Hittite girls, what good is my life? First Chronicles chapter 24, the divisions of the priests. The divisions of the descendants of Aaron were as follows. Aaron's sons were Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father, and they had no sons, so Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests. Together with Zadok from the descendants of Eleazar and Ahimelech from the descendants of Ithamar, David divided them according to the assigned duties of their service. Since more leaders were found among Eleazar's descendants than Ithamar's, they were divided accordingly. 16 heads of ancestral families were from Eleazar's descendants, and 8 heads of ancestral families were from Ithamar's. They were assigned by lot, for there were officers of the sanctuary and officers of God among both Eleazar's and Ithamar's descendants. The secretary Shemaiah, son of Nethanel, a Levite, recorded them in the presence of the king and the officers, the priest Zadok, Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, and the heads of the families of the priests and the Levites. One ancestral family was taken for Eleazar and then one for Ithamar. The first lot fell to Jehoiarib, the second to Jediah, the third to Haram, the fourth to Seorim, the fifth to Milkijah, the sixth to Mijamin, the seventh to Hakaz, the eighth to Abijah, the ninth to Jeshua, the 10th to Shechaniah, the 11th to Eliashib, the 12th to Jacham, the 13th to Huppah, the 14th to Jeshabeab, the 15th to Bilgah, the 16th to Immer, the 17th to Hezer, the 18th to Haphizez, the 19th to Pethahiah, the 20th to Jehezkel, the 21st to Jachin, the 22nd to Gamul, the 23rd to Deliah, and the 24th to Maaziah. These had their assigned duties for service when they entered the Lord's temple according to their regulations which they received from their ancestor Aaron, as the Lord God of Israel had commanded him. The rest of the Levites. As for the rest of Levi's sons, from Amram's son Shubael, from Shubael's son Jediah, from Rehabiah's sons Ishiah was the first. From the Isharites, Shelomoth, from Shelomoth's sons Jahath, Hebron's sons, Jeriah was the first, Amariah the second, Jahaziel the third, and Jekameam the fourth. From Uzziel's sons, Micah, from Micah's sons, Shamir, Micah's brother Ishiah, from Ishiah's sons, Zechariah, Merari's sons, Mali and Mushi, and from his sons, Jaaziah his son. Merari's sons by his son Jaaziah, Shoham, Zakur, and Ibri. From Mali, Eleazar, who had no sons. From Kish's sons, Jerahmeel, Mushi's sons, Mali, Eder, and Jeremoth. Those were the descendants of the Levites according to their ancestral families. They also cast lots the same way as their relatives, the descendants of Aaron, did in the presence of King David, Zadok, Ahimelech, and the heads of the families of the priests and Levites, the family heads and their younger brothers alike. 1 Chronicles 25. The Levitical musicians. David and the officers of the army also set apart some of the sons of Asaph, Heman, and Jeduthun, who were to prophesy, accompanied by lyres, harps, and cymbals. This is the list of the men who performed their service. From Asaph's sons, Zakur, Joseph, Nethaniah, and Asarelah, sons of Asaph under Asaph's authority, who prophesied under the authority of the king. From Jeduthun's sons, Gedaliah, Zeri, Jeshiah, Shimi, Hashabiah, and Mattithiah, 6 under the authority of their father Jeduthun, prophesying to the accompaniment of lyres, giving thanks and praise to the Lord. From Heman's sons, Bukiah, Mattaniah, Uzziel, Shebuel, Jeremoth, Hananiah, Hanani, Eliatha, Gedalti, Romam Tiezer, Josh Bekasha, Malathi, Hothir, and Mahaziel. All these sons of Heman, the king's seer, were given by the promises of God to exalt him, for God had given Heman 14 sons and 3 daughters. All these men were under their own father's authority for the music in the Lord's temple, with cymbals, harps, and lyres for the service of God's temple. Asaph, Jeduthun, and Heman were under the king's authority. They numbered 288 together with their relatives, who were all trained and skillful in music for the Lord. They cast lots for their duties, young and old alike, teacher as well as pupil. The first lot for Asaph fell to Joseph, his sons, and his relatives. To Gedaliah the second, him, his relatives, and his sons. The third to Zakur, his sons, and his relatives. The fourth to Isri, his sons, and his relatives. The fifth to Nethaniah, his sons, and his relatives. The sixth to Bukiah, his sons, and his relatives. The seventh to Jesarela, his sons, and his relatives. The eighth to Jeshiah, his sons, and his relatives. The ninth to Mattaniah, his sons, and his relatives. The 10th to Shimi, his sons, and his relatives. The 11th to Azarel, his sons, and his relatives. The 12th to Hashabiah, his sons, and his relatives. The 13th to Shubael, his sons, and his relatives. The 14th to Mattithiah, his sons, and his relatives. The 15th to Jeremoth, his sons and his relatives. The 16th to Hananiah, his sons and his relatives. The 17th to Josh Bekasha, his sons and his relatives. The 18th to Hanani, his sons and his relatives. The 19th to Malathi, his sons and his relatives. The 20th to Eliatha, his sons and his relatives. The 21st to Hothir, his sons and his relatives. The 22nd to Gidalti, his sons and his relatives. The 23rd to Mahazioth, his sons and his relatives. And the 24th to Romantiezer, his sons and his relatives. We'll resume in John chapter 7 at verse 25. Some of the people of Jerusalem were saying, "Isn't this the man they were trying to kill? Yet look, he's speaking publicly and they're saying nothing to him. Can it be true that the authorities know he is the Messiah? But we know where this man is from. When the Messiah comes, nobody will know where he is from." As he was teaching in the temple, Jesus cried out, "You know me, and you know where I am from. Yet I have not come on my own, but the one who sent me is true. You don't know him. I know him because I am from him, and he sent me." Then they tried to seize him, yet no one laid a hand on him because his hour had not yet come. However, many from the crowd believed in him and said, "When the Messiah comes, he won't perform more signs than this man has done, will he?" The Pharisees heard the crowd murmuring these things about him, and so the chief priests and the Pharisees sent servants to arrest him. Then Jesus said, "I am only with you for a short time. Then I'm going to the one who sent me. You will look for me, but you will not find me, and where I am, you cannot come." Then the Jews said to one another, "Where does he intend to go that we won't find him? He doesn't intend to go to the Jewish people dispersed among the Greeks and teach the Greeks, does he? What is this remark he made? You will look for me and you will not find me, and where I am you cannot come." Galatians chapter 4, verse 1. "Now I say that as long as the heir is a child, he differs in no way from a slave, though he is the owner of everything. Instead, he is under guardians and trustees until the time set by his father. In the same way, we also, when we were children, were in slavery under the elements of the world. When the time came to completion, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, 'Abba, Father.' So you are no longer a slave, but a son. And if a son, then God has made you an heir." Psalm 19, the witness of creation and scripture. For the choir director, a psalm of David. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the expanse proclaims the work of his hands. Day after day they pour out speech. Night after night they communicate knowledge. There is no speech. There are no words. Their voice is not heard. Their message has gone out to the whole earth, and their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens he has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming from his home. It rejoices like an athlete running a course. It rises from one end of the heavens and circles to the other end. Nothing is hidden from its heat. The instruction of the Lord is perfect, renewing one's life. The testimony of the Lord is trustworthy, making the inexperienced wise. The precepts of the Lord are right, making the heart glad. The commandment of the Lord is radiant, making the eyes light up. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are reliable and altogether righteous. They are more desirable than gold, than an abundance of pure gold, and sweeter than honey dripping from a honeycomb. In addition, your servant is warned by them, and in keeping them there is an abundant reward. Who perceives his unintentional sins? Cleanse me from my hidden faults. Moreover, keep your servant from willful sins. Do not let them rule me. Then I will be blameless and cleansed from blatant rebellion. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. And this concludes our reading for day 19 of Read the Whole Bible with Trenda Jones. I hope you have enjoyed reading with us so far, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 20. God bless you, and may the Lord add a blessing to the reading of His Word.